Before we dive into today's episode, we want to give a quick trigger warning. The episode touches on themes of narcissism and relationship abuse. If these topics are sensitive for you, please take care while listening. Step away if you need to and prioritize your well being. Your mental and emotional health always come first. We love you, and let's get into it. Hi, I'm Rachel Whitefield, certified life coach, and with me is our resident resilient rose, Jackie Black. Thank you for joining us on another fabulous episode of Whiskey Bent
Spellbound with Black.
and Whitefield.
All right, Rachel. I am so excited to be here and talk about our topic today. What are we drinking, though?
Oh, Jackie, I am so glad you asked. I am drinking a new whiskey on the show today. This is Woodinville Straight Bourbon Whiskey from Washington State, and I've actually been to this distillery before.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I had some friends when I was living in Washington State get married at the Woodinville distillery. So that was actually really cool. So I saw this at my local store and I was like, I've been there. It was lovely. Lovely place to have a wedding. Shout out
That.
Woodinville Distillery.
Heck yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm on my last glass of Uncle Nearest, so I thought I'd just enjoy the rest of this.
Yes.
Drinking it neat. But rumor has it you have ice molds? You have
I
special
do.
ones?
I do have ice molds today. Thank you for asking. I remembered to do them. And of course, they're one of my favorites. They are pink metallic skulls. Shout out Fancy
Wow.
Sprinkles with their luster powder. This is like their rose gold luster powder. And it's so beautiful. So they just look like little mini metallic, beautiful Terminators.
Just, yes, gorgeous,
Just the
tiny,
most
teeny,
beautiful,
tiny Terminators.
teeny tiny, glamorous little T1000s.
Oh, I love it.
Mimetic polyalloy coming your way in the form of gold.
Yes.
So that is
Yeah.
what is in my glass today. So drinking my whiskey over ice as per usual.
Huge.
Per usual.
I got it neat in a little
But
skull
yeah,
glass.
but you have a skull on the bottom of your glass. I could
It's
see
pretty
that.
cool.
I made these ice molds in honor of you. Clinkies.
Yes.
Mm. Mm. Woodinville, Washington State. You're doing
Nom
something
nom.
good up there.
Nom nom nom.
Nom, nom, nom.
Hmm.
I will save my tasting notes for another day because we are getting into a very serious topic today on the show.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
It's
oh,
oh, go ahead.
oh, okay. Yeah, today we are talking about signs of narcissistic abuse in a relationship.
Yeah. I have personal experience with this. So I'm gonna actually let you lead and I'm just gonna interject because when I talk about this subject,
Mhm.
my brain goes a million miles a minute because of how it actually affects your brain. And it's hard for me to get a thought out. So I'm just gonna trail the thoughts and talk about what I've experienced and what I've learned throughout the show.
Yes, which I think is very, very important. I want to say, just for personal experience, though, that not that I'm aware of, have been in a narcissistic relationship, thank goodness. However, I do believe the more I learn about narcissistic behaviors, um, it's good to spot the signs of it because as I learn more about this, I realize how naive I really have been in relationships as I talk to my friends who have been with a narcissistic partner or are in a narcissistic relationship and are learning to spot the signs themselves. So it's like I was very unaware of a lot of stuff that was going on. And so I've tried to educate myself more about like narcissistic tendencies and the difference between overt and covert narcissistic abuse. So,
Yeah.
this has been a really long learning journey for me. But also, we just want to say that we are not mental health professionals. This show is just for entertainment purposes only. This is just our lived experience, and so we're just sharing our personal experience, wealth of knowledge on this show. So,
Right.
yes,
Exactly. We're
yes,
here as friends,
yes.
girlfriends.
Yeah, and I think learning about narcissistic abuse is really crucial for awareness and self-protection, but also to be able to support others who might be going through it as well or have left those relationships. So you say you have been in one. I have not been in one. However, my eyes are really open to the situation now.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I think it's also important to be able to recognize the signs, whether it is for yourself in the future or to help a friend or loved one. hmm
It is. You have to educate yourself
hmm
um in order to feel like you have the power to do the next step, which is get out of that situation. It's ultimately every single time you have to get out of that situation.
And we really just want to
So,
emphasize that this episode is about education, empowerment, and protection.
right.
Mhm.
Right, exactly. So, I guess let's just dive into what we're looking at. What are we looking for as far as like this is not good. This is a red. These are the reddest of flags. And if you're looking for them,
So
let's start at the top.
let's start at the top and let's define what narcissistic abuse is because I think therapy talk gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
And again, so like narcissistic personality disorder is a diagnosable mental health disorder. And so some people, and I always like to use the language like, oh, this sounds like a narcissistic trait. So again, I'm not out to diagnose anybody, but it's just
Yeah.
like, hey, this sounds narcissistic. It doesn't necessarily someone is a diagnosed narcissist,
Right,
you
right,
know?
exactly. And it's hard to diagnose those people because of the disorder.
Yes.
So they actually never think there's anything wrong with them.
Yes.
So it's really rare to come across somebody who's like, hey, I'm a diagnosed narcissist. There's a couple of people that I've seen on TikTok
hmm
that are diagnosed narcissists, and they're like, hey, this is what I used to do. I'm telling you, this is what you're looking for. So it's very hard to come across a diagnosed narcissist and be able to allow yourself to label it that. But as far as like my personal experience, all of the red flags and warning signs were there. So if it like walks like a duck and talks like a duck,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's probably a duck.
Yeah. So let's start by defining narcissistic abuse. So, narcissistic abuse is a form of emotional, psychological, and sometimes physical manipulation inflicted by someone with narcissistic traits. So, it's about control, power, and using another person to feed their ego while diminishing the victim's sense of self.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it gets started.
Yeah.
So,
So in layman's terms, it starts to feel like okay, so from my perspective, that definition
Mhm.
is you feeling like your light is being dimmed.
Mhm.
You don't realize it until it's like getting really dim, but that's what it feels like in the long term. So if you're looking for, okay, well, what does that feel like?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
And some key characteristics of narcissistic individuals. So in this diagnosable um, characteristics as they have. So it starts with grandiosity and entitlement. So they believe they are superior and expect special treatment. They
Yeah.
lack empathy. They struggle to genuinely care about others' feelings, using people as tools rather than treating them as equals. They have a need for excessive admiration. They constantly seek validation and attention, even at the expense of others. And the exploitation of others. So they manipulate people to serve their needs, often using charm at first, then turning to more insidious tactics once they have control.
Yeah. All of those things, I experienced all of those things firsthand in my third marriage. Oh my gosh. The stories I could provide an example of each one of those from my third marriage. Let's just talk about how it starts, Rachel. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Let's
So
talk about how it starts.
how narcissistic abuse develops. So it often starts with love bombing, which is excessive attention or flattery. And then it shifts to devaluation, where the abuser starts to criticize and control.
Mhm.
And if the victim starts resisting, the abuser may start to use discarding and hoovering techniques like suddenly leaving and then pulling the victim back in. And
Yep.
then the cycle repeats, making the victim feel trapped and constantly trying to win back the abuser's approval.
Yeah. So for me, that all looked like right at the beginning, it was just like showering me with attention, gifts, taking me to places, taking me on nice dates, driving me around fancy cars, things like that, making me feel really cute and beautiful or whatever. So, and then we would get together. Okay. And then while we were together, it was constant um insults or like just berating me. And it wasn't even about things that really mattered, which really confused me a lot of the times and made me feel like crazy because it was like he would berate me for 30 up to 30 minutes straight about not screwing on water bottle caps tight enough, and that he would ask his friends, um hey, have you ever just whenever you're drinking a water bottle, do you just leave the top unscrewed or do you screw it back on? And then my friends say I screw it back on, so why can't you do it, Jackie? Like stuff like that. And it was just like, I don't understand what the fuck, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And then we would, because I would call him out on it, because I would call him out on his bad behavior, he'd break up with me and leave and cause like this devastation.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like 3 days later, he'd show up at my doorstep, roses in hand, gifts in hand, invitations to big events in hand, where I'd get dressed up and look like arm candy, and everybody likes me. So it just got right back into that cycle, right back into it. You got to be careful with that. If it looks like that for you, if they're fucking buying you gifts, all kinds of gifts, and then starting stupid fights, be careful with that.
Mm-hmm. So let's dive in a little deeper for these signs of narcissistic abuse. So let's start with gaslighting.
Ugh.
So it's making the victim question their reality, memory, or perception. So, for example, it could be, I never said that. You're imagining things. You're too
You sound
emotional.
crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And over time, the victim begins to distrust their own memory and instincts, relying on the abuser for clarity.
Yeah. It
Hmm.
was really bad.
Hmm.
Just feeling like, no, I heard you say what you said.
Hmm.
Why are you saying you didn't say it? We were both there. And then he would like, he was so adamant about not saying what he had said that it was like, um, okay, an example of that would be I told him, you berate me about water bottles. And he would say, no, I don't. I never do that.
Hmm.
And it's just like, you just did it 15 minutes ago, bro. What do you mean? You never do that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So
And it's never as big of a deal, but obviously the issue is not the water bottle caps.
it's not. It's
Hmm.
not. It's his like constant need for this emotional explosion because he
Hmm.
doesn't know how to express any other emotions.
Yeah. Let's see. Love bombing and devaluation. So, love bombing, excessive affection, gifts, and attention at the start of the relationship to gain control. I
Right.
love you. No one's going to love you as much as I love you.
And but gifts only at the beginning of the relationship.
Hmm.
Once he's got you, that's all going to stop. It's all going to stop. It eventually stops.
Hmm.
So unless they do well, we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
So
The
it
D
becomes few and far between unless he's trying to keep you. Unless he thinks he's going to lose you, then it comes back.
Yeah.
So
And then devaluation. Once the victim is emotionally invested because they've been love bombed, and that feels really good. I'm not going to say
it
it doesn't
does.
feel good. It feels great to be like wanted and it felt loved. But once the victim is emotionally invested, the abuser shifts to criticism, blame, and withholding affection. So then it's like, what did I do wrong? What did
Literally.
something I did? Like, and let me fix that. So it goes back to this love bombing
And
availability. Goes
it
back
get
to the
it's
way you
worse.
were.
Yeah, it's so for me, that part of it was him giving me this silent treatment
Mhm.
for days at a time, even though nothing had happened.
Mhm.
And it wasn't even a fight yet. He would give me the silent treatment first. And that used to drive me crazy. I am Italian and Mexican. My fuse is short, my friend. So when that happened, I would explode. I would explode.
Let's see. And then the next step is control and isolation. So slowly cutting the victim off from friends, family, and other support systems. I have seen this in a friend's relationship before. Your friends aren't really your friends. They're not good friends. Come meet all my friends. They're actually really good friends. You don't have good friends. Your family, they
Yeah.
don't understand you.
Yeah. Mine just told me all the time that he didn't feel comfortable around my family. Because my family didn't like him.
For a reason.
That's also another red flag. That's not something that I remembered putting into the notes. But if your family, like all of them, even the ones that you don't get along with, don't like him,
Hmm.
get or her, get away, run immediately.
Let's see. Next is manipulating access to money, transportation, or decision-making power.
Yeah.
So if they it can go into financial abuse, like, oh, we can't afford that, or no, you can't have that, or, and I'm saying this in different contexts of relationships, no, I'm not going to drive
Yeah.
you there. We can't go there, or any decision-making power. Like, that's not good enough for both of us. It's like, well, I can make up my own mind about things.
Right. Right. It was always for him, he always was like, well, how much money are you putting into it? How
Mm.
much money are you putting into it? I'm on my retirement. Like he made really good retirement, don't get me wrong, but it was always like I should be paying more because he earned his retirement and he shouldn't have to like so he was forcing me to pay for shit.
So he looped you in by paying
Yeah.
for stuff,
Yep.
and now you're in, and then
And
you're like,
then
oh, I have to start paying for
right.
these now.
And
This
then
is changing the dynamic.
he put money into my account once, promising me that we were going to go to Japan.
Hmm.
And then he stormed in to my office and started a fight over social media and demanded I send that money back to him immediately. And that was for me to like go buy the tickets.
Hmm.
So it was like dangling a little fish right in front of me, like a
Oh,
little
you better
treat.
behave, or else we're not going to go on
Yeah,
that trip that I
we're not
promised you.
going.
Hmm.
You know how I said we could go? We're not fucking going, bitch.
Hmm.
Like,
And then this just leads into other subtle control tactics, such as getting upset when the victims spend time with others, when their attention isn't solely on the abuser. I see this in one of my friends' relationship right now. So it's just like, if she is not talking to him, if she does not come home straight after work, if she does not like, she can have no life outside of this person.
so one time, I literally have a story for every single one.
Yes. Yes.
I'm telling you, he never got diagnosed, but I have a story for every single one. One time, I get my nails done. Okay. I used to have the fucking hottest nails. Like I spent $250 on my nails. They were blinged out every time. They were hand painted every time. They were gorgeous. You seen them.
Mm-hmm.
They were gorgeous. I went to go get my nails done one day and it took the guy 2.5 hours to do this custom work with rhinestones and Swarovski crystals.
Which
And
I
they would
will say, as a nail
photos.
tech, that is good time.
Yeah.
It's easy to do a 3 hour nail set. I'm just saying I would personally know. I am a nail tech.
Right. To be honest, I think I was there for longer than that. I'm just being conservative, to be
Yeah.
honest.
3 hours
But
for that set
I
is
might have been gone for
standard.
3 hours.
Hmm.
Anyways, the house was around the corner. He could have driven by anytime.
Hmm.
He was thinking I was doing something. But while they were taking photos and videos of my nails because they were a custom design set for their best client, he was blowing up my phone and FaceTiming me. I call him, I get out of the nail salon and I call him and I'm all happy because I just got my nails done. I'm like, hey, baby. And he's like, where the fuck have you been? He he accused me of going off and cheating on him.
Hmm.
And he just knew that I was just, instead of at the nail salon, I was just cheating on him. And I was like, cheating on him with who? And he was like, probably one of the guys that you used to talk to on Instagram. I was like, the guys that I used to talk to when we first got together, before I found out that you were married when we first got together. And
Hmm.
he would take no accountability for that. And he would turn it all the way around on me.
Hmm.
So if they're accusing you of some crazy shit like that, I'm telling you, they do
It's
it.
projection.
It's, yeah, absolutely. It's projection. It's probably because he went and got his dick sucked.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You leave with one set of nails and you come back with a different set of nails.
And they are fancy.
Fancy
They
nails.
look like they take time.
Hmm. I don't know.
They look like it.
And
So,
so, like, next is blame shifting and playing the victim. So the abuser never takes responsibility, always blaming others for their behavior. For an example, I wouldn't have yelled at you if you hadn't made me angry. And so they often play the victim, making the actual victim feel guilty for even questioning them.
so this one time, he woke me up because he found out, I just mentioned that I was talking to other dudes when we first started dating, when I first met him.
Hmm.
Dating, we're not committed to each other.
Hmm.
Also, he's married.
Hmm.
So he found out I was talking to other dudes during that brief time period at the beginning of our relationship.
Hmm.
He came in one night and woke me up at 1 a.m. and said to me that because I cheated on him, he is now going to cheat on me, and that I have to stay married to him. I can't divorce him. And I have to accept it
Because of what had happened a year prior.
because he
That was,
believed I cheated on him at the beginning of the relationship 2 years prior
hmm.
when he was married and actually having an affair with me, making me the other woman. Ew.
He just says, you have to be okay with this. But I wouldn't cheat if you
Yes.
cheated on me.
Yes. You have to feel sorry for me because I actually am the one who got cheated on. So now I get to cheat on you and you have to be careful for it or okay with it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're married now. You're like, okay, so my husband just said he's going to cheat
And
on me
this
and there's
is,
nothing I can do about it.
yeah, I'm not saying that this happens to everyone, but this is, as I'm telling the stories, I feel like I'm telling the extreme of it, but that was the reality of what I was living with for 3 years. Insane.
And then finally, erosion of self-worth. So there is constant criticism, comparison to others, or subtle put downs make the victim feel inadequate. So victims often feel like they have to earn the abuser's love and approval. This is one thing I did here in my marriage when I would like struggle with something. Good
Yeah.
thing you're pretty.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, that might, to me, like that's a subtle put down. Like,
Yeah.
good thing you're pretty, or that's not how so and so would do it. That's not how your friend acts in public. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's like they often feel like to keep getting that love bombing validation again, it's like they have to earn the abuser's approval because they are withdrawing it. So you're like, I need that dopamine hit again. I need to go back. So it's like, now I'm going to throw myself at this person because this isn't who they are. They're not this mean person. Well, they are.
So
Go
my
on.
ex-husband would tell me, so now I'm going to say something out loud that's going to make me real. I feel like I'm about to realize something.
Hmm.
He would compare me to his mom.
Hmm.
He would tell me that his mom wouldn't do it this way. His mom does it this way.
I'm not your mom.
Ew, gross. So, yeah. He also is one of the, well, I love them, but I probably wouldn't have gotten them if he didn't insist.
Mm.
The ladies, my new ladies. I love them. I'm
Hmm.
not, I don't, wouldn't have got them because I probably wouldn't have paid for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the constant like talking about, because at first I was like, no, I'm fine. I don't want to do that. No, I'm fine.
You're
And
talking about breast
of
surgery.
my breast implants.
Hmm.
At the first, I was like, no, I'm fine. I don't want them. No, I'm fine. It's fine. Because I was like, I don't want to give my daughter that example that I'm unhappy with my body. I'm going to go under the knife.
Hmm.
But then my daughter moved in with her dad and her stepmom for a little while, and our relationship started repairing. She was like, Mom, he's telling you to go get some boobs. Go get some boobs, as you should. And so that really was like, okay, fine, I will do it. But if he didn't encourage it, it wouldn't even have been a thing.
But
Which it
was
actually subconsciously, now obviously saying it out loud, feels like I was subconsciously convinced I had to do it.
was he putting your body down before is the question. Like encouraging
Here's
is
what he
different
would
than
say.
like,
Here's what he would say. He
mhm,
would say, I just know if you got boobs, your modeling career would blow up.
mhm.
He's like, right now, like you're doing good, but like it'd be so much better if you changed your body because it's not good enough. Because look at all these girls who have boobs.
There's that comparison.
Yeah.
Like you're not a good enough model by what you do in general.
My work
Your
doesn't
boobs would
speak
be
for
the only
itself.
thing. Mm,
Right.
hmm.
And the irony of that is I immediately stopped modeling. It is. It is what it is.
There you go. Mm.
Yeah, but there's two different kinds of narcissists that we got to talk about too. So let's go ahead and dive into that.
There are two ones that we're going to talk about on the show today. So there is covert narcissism versus overt narcissism. So we've been kind of touching on the overt narcissists, like kind of the classic narcissist. So they're bold, loud, obviously self-centered. They thrive on being the center of attention and openly display superiority, excuse me. So example behaviors are bragging constantly about accomplishment, openly insulting or belittling others, and like yelling, demanding, and controlling in a visible way. Like they do not hide their abuse. It's
that
loud and
is
proud in the front.
that
So,
is exactly what my ex-husband was. He was
so it,
in a biker club. He was boisterous about it. He would try to start fights wherever he was, like to prove himself big and bad. I got me stuck with one of those. That's what I got.
yeah. So again, like how they abuse, directly insult and demean their partners in public and private. They use aggression, threats, and intimidation to maintain control and loudly blame others for their problems, never taking accountability. So it sounded like no matter where you guys were, like it was on display for everyone to see,
Yep.
you know. to a certain
No
spot.
matter where, even if we were at his friend's house, we were at a Halloween party and he looked at me and insulted the way I looked. And then he was like, I really don't want you following me around this party.
So he didn't even want to be seen with you at the party.
Right. At his friend's party, which made me cry. And so then I sat in the car for
Mhm.
45 minutes just sobbing. And then came, and my makeup was beautiful before I walked
Mhm.
into that house. When I left the car, of course, it was all cried off. So I looked ridiculous after that. I
Not the
couldn't look too
makeup.
good. I
I
couldn't
know.
look too good. I couldn't look.
Mm.
People, men couldn't be looking at me, which is a whole other part of this. Anyways, let's talk about covert narcissists because they're a little bit harder to spot.
Yes, covert narcissists. So it's like the hidden narcissist. So it's
Mm.
more subtle and more difficult to spot. So they present as sensitive, self-effacing, or even victimize, but manipulate behind the scenes. So
Mm-hmm.
this is what I have really been learning a lot about in recent months. So example behaviors. So it's like playing the victim to gain sympathy while subtly undermining others, giving backhanded compliments or engaging in subtle put downs. Good thing you're pretty. And using passive aggression instead of outright aggression. So maybe that silent treatment, maybe, leaving dishes on the counter when they normally wouldn't do it. All we all know what passive aggressive is, with our
Yeah.
partners. So, and again, I'm not saying passive aggressivism is covert narcissism. I'm just saying it is a trait that also goes along with covert narcissism.
Right.
So again,
Right.
that silent treatment that they're doing, they're not going to tell you why they're upset. They're just, you can figure it out. You should know what you did.
Oh, yeah. I'm tired of
Oh,
your shit. I don't want to talk about it anymore. We haven't talked about anything.
yeah. Which sends me into the next section of how they abuse silent trip treatment, guilt tripping, and subtle emotional withdrawal. Presenting themselves as the quote nice one unquote while secretly sabotaging the partner's self-esteem and creating confusion by flipping between being a supportive and undermining behavior in the partnership.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
why is covert narcissistic abuse dangerous? So it's harder to identify, meaning victims often stay longer in toxic relationships, and victims may feel guilty for thinking something is wrong because their abuser presents themselves as nice.
Yeah. They're going to
Hmm.
have a harder time reaching out to help for help too, because he, like with my ex-husband, everybody kind of knew he was one and didn't expect anything to last. They were like, good luck with this one. He's the
Hmm.
worst.
Hmm.
He had some covert narcissism traits, obviously, like the not talking to me thing. But the problem with covert narcissism is that if you're not educated on how those traits manifest, you're not going to be able to get the help or be taken seriously by people. So you got to be careful and educate yourself like 100%.
And I think a lot of times with covert narcissist partners, it can be like, oh, well, he's such a nice guy because no one outside of the home may
Yeah,
see that. And
right,
so when you do talk about it with your friends or family, they're like, well, that's not the person I know. He's never been
right.
that way with me.
I can't
Or,
imagine him doing that.
yeah, yeah, that's not right. So it's like, so then it's like you almost can end up gaslighting yourself
Yes.
for being like, am I being petty? Am I
Yeah.
blowing this
Am I
out of
being over
proportion?
emotional?
Am I overreacting?
Yeah,
No, no, you're not.
you're
It's like
not.
that's the game they play.
Right.
And so it's just like how to protect yourself,
Yeah. Let's
So
talk about it because it's hard. It really is hard to recognize, but once you recognize it, it's go time because you only have a certain amount of time to be with them. That's my belief. Once you've figured out that they're narcissists, because you are going to trigger their rage even more because you're going to start putting down some real hard and fast rules. So let's get into that.
yeah. So how to protect yourself. So one, building awareness. So this was where I was because I will talk about two clients of mine that are in different types of narcissistic relationships, but also to like as a friend and as their life coach to be like my own awareness because I was never in a situation like this before. So it's like recognizing the warning signs and trust your gut if something feels off. So pay attention to patterns of manipulation, even if they're subtle. It's like it just goes back. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it's because it is.
Yeah.
It's called women's intuition for a reason. It
Yeah.
is your intuition. Trust yourself. You know yourself. And I
Yeah.
think the whole part of like narcissism is to, again, gaslight you and to be like, that's not the truth. That's not what really happened. You don't really feel that way. Or you're overreacting, all these things. So it just is like, believe in yourself. And I think that's can be really hard for a lot of people in these types of relationships because they have been broken down for
Yeah.
so long over time
Yeah.
that it's
You
hard
hear,
to trust yourself.
yeah, but you hear that little voice. You hear it. You know what it is.
Mhm.
Listen to it. I promise you, as soon as you listen to it and you go and educate, as soon as you listen to the little voice in your head and you go and educate yourself on exactly how it manifests, it's going to give you the strength to do the next thing.
Mhm. So trust yourself, even if you feel a little untrustworthy, that voice deep inside of you, she knows. And so moving on to setting boundaries. Like you said, learn to say no and stand firm in your decisions. So if someone repeatedly disrespects your boundaries, recognize that as a red flag. And so this is, like you said, the probably the hardest thing to start doing of just like if you're used to letting someone kind of emotionally walk all over you, it's hard to say and to stand up for yourself and say, that's not going to work for me anymore. And not
Yeah.
expect that kind of narcissistic behavior to come back on you again, to
Yeah.
say, to push those boundaries, to say, that's that's not going to work for me. But then stand firm and say, that's not going to work for me.
You have to and when you do this, when you finally figure out to how to do this, you have to make sure to learn how to not react to their reactions so
Hmm.
that those boundaries stay in place, because the minute you react to how they're going to react to you setting boundaries,
Hmm.
that is what they want. They want to trigger the reaction out of you so that they can crumble those walls a little
Hmm.
bit. And you're going to need those walls up to go to the next step. You really are.
Yeah, which should be seeking help. So therapy, coaching, or support groups can help victims gain clarity and strength. And you can confide in trusted friends or family members about your concerns, but be careful who you trust. So I just know because a lot of times, like in particular friend groups, it might just be like your friends might just be so tired of hearing you complain or, not our friend group, but just, it's just like it's been going on for so long that we're just like, if you're not going to do anything about it, then we don't want to hear about it anymore. And I was in a relationship one time where I was like, listen, either I'm going to have to start lying for you or making excuses for you
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to keep talking about this type of repeated behavior to my girlfriends. And so it's just like you get tired and maybe your friends don't realize what's going on inside of you or in your relationship because you've been hiding it from them because you want to act like you're in this perfect relationship because you love this person so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking more be careful who you trust as far as family goes. My advice is never to trust their family,
Yes.
not ever.
Mm-hmm.
You might think that they are on your side, but I promise you they are not. They got this from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that. They got those behaviors from somewhere, and it all started at home. So please do not think his sister is your friend or her mom is your friend or whoever you are seeing whoever is treating you like this. Do not believe that any of their family members are your friend or
Mm-hmm.
any of their I mean, I don't even know that you should believe their friends, quite frankly, but like just because he was cheating on me. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you guys lied for him.
Yeah.
So
But it's like if you once you kind of see these signs happening, Jackie, one of your takeaways is like keep a journal. Like you every time there's an incident, you kept a calendar on your iPhone
Yeah.
or just a regular journal. I mean, be
Yeah.
safe on where you keep it because I think a lot of times it's like the deluge of stuff and it's just the little things that like keep chipping away that you're like, is this a thing? Is this a thing? Is this worth writing down? If it makes you feel a little weird, write it down. Write it down.
So
Pattern
here's why,
recognition.
yeah, here's why it's super important to write stuff down. My advice is if you're really with somebody who's with like this, don't keep a physical journal.
Mhm.
My advice is actually from a personal experience is absolutely keep it on your phone in a locked app. The reason why you do this is because that kind of abuse is basically giving you the a dopamine cortisol hit to your brain, and you're becoming addicted to a dopamine hit of the love bombing and then the cortisol hit of the stress from them leaving.
Mhm.
That is causing brain damage. According to the I didn't don't even remember what study that I read it in when I started reading about narcissistic abuse, but it affects your memory directly. I have
Mhm.
such a hard time with my memory that I have to write everything down now. So
Mhm.
I started doing that in my iPhone so I could remind myself that I'm not crazy. I could remind myself he did say this on that day. He did ruin vacation. He did get in a fight with me on my birthday, so he didn't have to do anything. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you're gonna forget these things because they're constantly giving you that dopamine cortisol hit.
Mhm.
You got to start writing this stuff down as soon as you realize it's happening. Open your phone, find a secret app. There's a couple of them out there that you can lock that they can't get into,
Mhm.
and start documenting what they did because you're going to need it to get out.
Yeah. Once you get hoovered back in, you're like, this is why. This is why I left.
Yep.
And most importantly, recognize that it's not your fault. So
Right.
narcissistic abuse makes victims feel like they're the problem, but they're not. And healing starts with understanding that you are not to blame for someone else's behavior. So I'm going to say that again. So healing starts with understanding that you are not to blame for someone else's toxic behavior. They are responsible for their behavior and don't try to change them. So no matter how hard you try, you can't love away their pain and hatred for themselves. You like if people want to change, it's because they want to change, that they
Right.
need to change from the inside.
Right.
Hmm.
They truly don't like themselves. And
Hmm.
to be honest, if you're in a relationship that's like this, they probably don't even like you.
Hmm.
They just need somebody else to survive. They can't be alone because being with somebody is their validation. But that
Hmm.
doesn't mean they have any emotions for that person. They can love that person, but like a person loves a plant.
Yeah,
Like
you're
they don't,
objectified. They don't see you
yeah,
as a
you're an
person.
object that's beneficial to
Hmm.
me.
Yeah,
Um, they're not going to love themselves. You have to really, like, my best advice is accept who that person is the minute they tell you who they are.
yeah. Believe them when they show you who they are. So
100%.
I have two clients right now that are both one is dealing with a overt narcissist and the other one is dealing with a covert narcissist. And the one with the overt narcissist, at first she just had this icky feeling in her life of just like, this doesn't sit right. This doesn't sit right. Break up to make up, and then there'd be really no accountability afterwards. It's just, okay, we're back together. And she started reading a book about narcissism in relationships. And she said that it's really hard to get through the book because it she finds it so triggering and it's like she'll read a scenario and then it'll send her down this emotional rabbit hole of like this is what he did, this is what he did, this is what he did. But it's really one, it's like people in relationships have to come to that understanding on their own. of like, oh, the realization. And the realization can take a while to understand. And, she is still in that relationship. She's not ready to leave yet. However, she is making an exit strategy for the time being. So she's like, I know what I will do. I think she's waiting for kind of like an event to happen, and then it's gonna like a big like family event or something, just to kind of keep the waters calm and then have her exit strategy at that point. But at that point, she's just like, she needs to calm her own nervous system about just the realization of what is happening inside of her relationship. And just, she's starting to set boundaries and he's not liking that. And it's causing stress in their relationship. And, so she knows she's on the tail end of it, but it's just when she is ready. But she's really like 1 foot out, as like women, when we get, I would just say, we'll speak for me, but like, with women, it's like when we're done, we're done. We're like, it doesn't matter if we stay, we're out, kind of thing. So it's more of they don't live together. He's asked her to live together. She doesn't want to live with him, so it's like they it comes to the point where they know they're if you're not moving forward, in the future of their relationship, it's not really going to go anywhere. So it's like
Yeah.
it's like the ending point of the relationship. So she's just taking her time, but really processing through the fact and the acknowledgement that, oh my God, I am in a relationship with a narcissist and these issues are coming up. And now, but once she's aware of it, she can see it and she can identify it. So again, she's getting less triggered because she sees these techniques in front of her and she's like, oh, I know what that is now because she's not
Yeah.
been triggered into this fight or flight mode, which it's like keeps her more calm in relationships as well because she can see it now. She can name it.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not just emotional panic, kind of. And then my other client in the more covert narcissist relationship is, for one, we can all see it from the outside.
Oh no.
And we
Yes.
have all seen it for quite some time. But it's also like, it's not our place to say, yo, he's a narcissist. He's not treating you right. I can just say, I don't like him because I don't like the way he's treating my friend,
Yeah.
but it's like,
Yeah.
it's up to her to come to this realization on her own. So my advice would just be not to be like, fuck that dude. He doesn't deserve you. It's more of she was explaining a situation where he was hoovering her.
Yep.
He was a dick to her and then he came and brought the next day he bought her and her daughter gifts just to like give that dopamine dump.
Yep.
And, I just asked, how does that make you feel when he does that? And it's like, I hate it. So I would say don't ask leading questions, just open ended. How does that make you feel when he does that? Not, oh, like you must feel terrible when he does that.
Right.
No. How does that make you feel? And she says, it makes me feel terrible. I hate it. I don't like the way it makes me feel. It makes me feel weird. It makes me feel heartbroken and then confused.
Yeah.
And
She knows.
and then, she said that her friend had been discussing when they were in a group together, emotionally abusive relationships and things like that. And I said, you know, why would she bring that up? Why would she bring that up to your friend? And she says, I'm not, and I said, oh, she sounds like she's a good friend. She's like, yes, she is. And I said,
Yeah.
do you feel that's what he's doing to you? And she's like, I'm not sure. But you can
Mm,
tell that the door is opening because
the
it's
wheels are
really,
turning.
it's really hard to admit, like, hey, this person isn't who I thought they were.
It's
And it's
it's
heartbreaking.
it's embarrassing, Rachel.
Yes. Yeah,
It's
that
not
too.
it's not hard. It's embarrassing, which makes it like
And
like
then I think it also connects really with this like sunk cost fallacy. You're like, I've invested so much into this relationship.
but I got married. But I
I,
eloped to Vegas because I was in love.
mhm. That you're just
But
like, I
but
don't
we
want this
have
to
this
all be for naught.
but we have a brand on TikTok that's going viral every day. Like it was literally
Hmm.
everything. And it was torture.
Hmm.
It was torture to fucking deal with.
And I would just say, like, for her or to anyone in a relationship like this, that you deserve a relationship that calms your nervous system and does not activate it. So, like, just some key takeaways before we get into the spellbounding tarot card reading. But it's like narcissistic abuse is about control and manipulation, not
Yep.
selfishness. And overt narcissists are obviously easier to spot, but covert narcissists operate in a subtle, insidious ways that really, I think, covert narcissist, I think, is a little bit worse too, because it's just like, it's always when someone's not around.
Dude, it's always the serial killers that are covert
Mhm.
narcissists. Every single time. The serial killers in prison,
Mm.
always covert narcissists. Those guys are terrifying. Terrifying because they don't like, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, if you are in one of these relationships, they don't like you. Get
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. They like having a relationship, but they do not like you.
Makes them feel like they have something to brag about,
Mhm.
makes them feel like they have something to quote unquote show off or make somebody jealous about because of who they're with. But don't shine too bright.
Yeah. Never outshine them. So
Never, ever outshine
it,
them.
I would just say awareness, boundary setting, and seeking help are the key to protecting yourself. So,
Yep.
like, read those books. Even if you're maybe not sure that you are with a narcissist, read about it. See, like, does it, like my client, does it trigger you to be like, oh my gosh, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. I identify with so much of this, or
Yeah.
do you not identify with?
Right.
Because I think I have been in a narcissistic, not like a situation within a relationship, but like not with a narcissist. I think it was just
Right.
like an argument within a relationship. But again, that doesn't mean everyone who does this is a narcissist. It's just there are narcissistic tendencies that I think certain people tend to have.
But
But
if you check off all of these qualities, the likelihood is high. And I promise you, they're not going to tell you, hey, I'm a diagnosed narcissistic personality disorder. And honestly, if they do, I don't think you should move forward, to be honest. If they are that self-aware, ooh, unless they're going to regular therapy. And then still, I don't know. I don't know. I think but also don't take advice from me because I have trust issues when it comes to relationships, you know.
and I just want to say, someone who gaslights or manipulates you is not going to create a safe environment for you. And you deserve a safe environment in your relationships. Again, you want someone who calms your nervous system, not activates it.
Right.
Mm.
Because once it's activated, you have to heal it, and that process takes a long time.
Yes.
A long time.
But I think it's easy to convince ourselves that something like this isn't happening, but being able to come to terms is very hard and it is a huge step. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen overnight. Like my first client, she's aware of it and
Hmm.
now she's planning her exit. So it's not something that just happens overnight. And it does, the understanding,
Yeah.
takes time. That second client, she's getting there. She's
Yeah.
starting to question, she's starting to see, she's starting to maybe.
Yeah. And it's hard to push your friends to that reality too. Like, especially when you do see it, or if you're experienced in it, you have to ask those open-ended questions like Rachel did,
Mhm.
so that you can help them, the victims, understand what is actually happening. It brings those words to the forefront.
Yeah, like you can't, for me, it's like you can't tell someone like, hey, you're experiencing this, because that might just alienate them and push them away. But it's like if you ask those open-ended questions, like it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. It's like they need to lead themselves to the water,
Exactly.
because you don't want to push them away where you're not
And
a
you
safe place as well.
and you got to let them know that once they get to the water, you got that. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. I see what's happening. I'll meet you there,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. So,
Jackie, anything else before we get into the spellbounding?
No, I just want like if you're experiencing this, listen to your gut,
Mm-hmm.
write it all down, figure out who you can trust,
Mm-hmm.
make a plan, get out and go stone cold. Do not interact with this person at
No
all.
contact.
You cannot be friends. If you
Mm-hmm.
have kids, keep any conversation in writing via text. There's special apps out there that you can use that the judge will, if you're going through custody stuff, they have access to.
Mm-hmm.
Keep those messages short and sweet and unemotional
On
if you
subject.
have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you have to, um, speak with your abuser. But if you don't, do not look at their do not social media stalk them, do not call them, do not text them. You have to go totally black, like
Mm-hmm.
you didn't even exist. That
Mm-hmm.
is the only way therapy works. I'm sorry, I hate to say it to everybody, but you have to cut them off. They're
Mm-hmm.
never going to change. They don't love themselves, therefore they cannot love you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to love you. You are the love of your life, not them. You got this.
You got this. We
You
love
got
you.
this.
You got this.
That's my advice. You got to take it a day at a time.
You
And
gotta
sometimes you have to start over with nothing when you go through shit like this.
mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you start over with nothing, that means you have a clean slate. And that's actually such an opportunity to create such new artwork with your life.
That's right. That's right. Jackie, excellent. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you? I saw you shuffling those
I've
cards.
been
Are you ready
shuffling
to
every day. I'm shuffling. I
do
have
do
this
do do do
microphone,
do
everybody, that I hate,
do?
but it's super cute because it looks like I'm singing.
It's an
30s
old retro
music,
microphone,
right? It's so
right?
cute. It works. It does the job, but
Mhm.
cheese and Ross. Anyways, let's get these cards pulled.
Shuffle those tarot cards.
Pulled. All right. So, okay. So we have the Eight of Cups,
Eight of
the
Cups,
Ace of Wands,
Ace of Wands,
and we got another sphere again.
a sphere.
We
Okay.
got another sphere, but Eight of Cups. So let's talk about this. It
Okay.
talks about walk. Look at what's he do. What's he doing, Rachel?
Running.
Oh, the fuck away.
Yeah.
He's literally running away. It's about
hmm
leaving a situation, walking away from a situation that does not suit you. If you are in one of these situations, you sounds like you already know. It sounds like you already know you got to get the fuck out of there. Sounds like spirit's yelling at you. I know spirit was yelling at me. I know my gut, like by the end, you very much know it's you get out, get out. It's so
hmm
loud at
hmm
the end of it, especially if you're really in tune with your just that intuition. You know what I'm saying? Like some women really know that they're super in tune with their intuition, and we just don't listen to it sometimes. I'm now starting to listen to mine a little bit more. I've always been super in tune, and she was just loud, like screaming at me, like, "What are you doing? Get out!"
hmm
Shaming me, really.
Yeah.
All right. So the second one is the Ace of Wands
Ace of
reversed. And
Okay.
this is really telling me that, like, you might not have the will to get out, even though you know need to.
Mm-hmm.
You might feel like you're sort of drained. Like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I need to? It's for the best, but this is the way you're feeling right now. Like, I know I have to leave, but I don't have any fucking energy to deal with what that's gonna take because a life pivot is a lot of energy. And if leaving a narcissist ain't a life pivot, I don't know what the fuck is. And it's like a long process to
Yeah.
get through leaving a narcissist. It's a long process to get over it, to heal from it. And you're just feeling like, what is the point? It's just like what that feels like. I'm not talking about you specifically, but like whoever is dealing with
Yeah.
something like this is definitely feeling like what is even the point if I stay or leave at this point? I have nothing. It's not worth it. Feels like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, the fourth one. We seem to have been getting these spheres a lot. So let's see. Let's see. A figure. I love this book because it's so well written. A
Mm-hmm.
figure clutches a single large sphere representing what he has. So check this out. Look at this
Okay.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks like he's protecting something,
Mm-hmm.
something that he's got. Those are, it's like telling you basically you're tired and you feel like you don't have anything, but you do. You do. You do have the strength. You do have the people supporting you. You do have the ability to leave. You just have to believe it for yourself. And all of those things he's like protecting. Conserve those resources that you know you have. Reach out to them, figure out who they are, make sure you're trusting the right people. If you even get an inkling that they might tell this person that you're thinking about leaving, or they even tell this person what you have told them that they've done, do not tell them shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's, let me tell you, believe your gut in that aspect. But that's what this last one is. Identify and conserve your resources while you're getting ready to leave. You can do this. You are absolutely strong enough to leave. You might feel weak. You might feel brought down. Your light, you can see it dimmed in your eyes. You can see it dimmed.
Mm-hmm.
And but you know you need to get away. You know you need to get away. And that's I don't know if the cards just read me specifically trying to give everybody the message, because I don't want anybody to feel like I felt in my
Mm-hmm.
marriage. Just worthless and ugly and fat and not lovable, and everything was, I didn't deserve to be happy. It
Uh,
was like that. And if you feel like you're walking on eggshells, get out.
mm-hmm.
Person who loves you shouldn't make you feel like you're walking on eggshells. They should make you feel like you're walking on fucking clouds.
You are a goddess and they should
You're a
treat you as
goddamn
such.
goddess and they should be fucking obsessed with you.
Yes.
God.
Mm.
Anyways, those are the cards and that's the reading.
Thank you, Jackie. Well, that is a wrap on this episode of Whiskey Bent and Spellbound. So, thank you so
Yes.
much for listening. And if you loved hanging out with us, don't forget to join our coven over on Patreon for just $3.95 a month. Because let's be real, that's less than your daily cup of coffee and way more fun. So, you'll get
Right.
exclusive content, bonus episodes, and all the behind the scenes tea and cheese may. And if you want to keep the magic going, leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. It's a small thing that makes a big difference and helps more people find our little corner of chaos and witchy wisdom. And of course, if you're following us on social media at whiskey.bent.spellbound on all social media platforms, so you never miss an update, a meme, or a wild story. So until next time, stay magical, stay messy, and stay spellbounding. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.